What is up, everybody? This is Damron. We're playing Halo Infinite. This is part 6 of my complete collectible and achievement guide. We're on the second portion of the connections. In the last video, we covered the entire southern region. Now we're going to be doing the Main Mission Excavation Site, as well as covering the northern part of connections. And again, in this video, we're getting all the collectibles: UNSC Spartan, Banished Audio Logs, Skulls, Spartan Cores, Armor Lockers, Forerunner Artifacts, Propaganda Towers, Distress Call, high-value targets, and the Outposts, as well as doing all the miscellaneous achievements in the game. So when you start the excavation site mission, we are in the mission now. You're going to be going to that control panel over there to turn off the excavation site, or try to, and right behind you from that console is going to be the next audio log. From that audio log, just kind of turn left or go to the western side of this building, and you'll find your next audio log sitting up next to this rocket launcher and some weapons if you want to use those. Now, some people think that these particular collectibles are missable and that you only can get them during the excavation site mission, but that's not actually true. So go ahead and finish that mission. You can see I've finished excavation site, and I've also finished off the conservatory. So those are the two main missions, but you can still get back up into that main building where the collectibles are. You know, during the mission, there's a kind of force field in front of this side of the building, but after you beat the mission, that will no longer be there, and you can actually grapple up in here and get those collectibles if you didn't happen to get them during the main mission. But hopefully you're following along with me and we're nabbing everything. So let's get moving on to our next collectible, which is an armor locker. And remember, the armor lockers are basically cosmetics for multiplayer, so they're not actually usable in the campaign. But from where we were at the base of that building, let's just mark it over here to the west, and we'll go to the western side of the excavation site. Down on the ground, tucked up next to some rocks, is our next armor locker. So we'll open up our TAC map and we'll get our next collectible, which is a Spartan Core, which you can see is pretty much right beside the armor locker, or so it appears. But you're actually going to have to go up onto this rock. You can see that I just marked it up there, so just mark it, but go all the way to the top of this ledge here. So grapple up there, or however you want to get up here. And when you get to the very top of that rock formation, you'll find your next Spartan Core. From that Spartan Core, now we're going to head to the eastern side of the excavation site, or kind of the southeastern side of it. So go ahead and put a marker down there, and now we're going to go back down into the excavation site itself. And in the the southeastern portion is this building. When you get in here, you'll have to grapple up to the second floor to nab your next Spartan Core. And as I mentioned in previous videos, we are trying to do this in the most efficient way possible, so hopefully we're getting these as we're playing through the game to minimize backtracking. So the next thing we're going to get is a propaganda tower, our first propaganda tower, the northern portion of connections, which is just west of FOB Bravo. So you can put a marker in that direction. So we're going to head all the way over there, and again, you can see just west of FOB Bravo, and it's just off the road here, so you can see Bravo off in the distance is going to be our next propaganda tower. So do what we do with those and blow them away. From that propaganda tower, now we're going to go ahead and take over forward operating base Bravo, and again, just kill all of the banished that are around those. You know how to take these out by now, but they will spot some collectibles in the surrounding area, as well as being a fast travel point going forward. As always, there's also going to be a UNSC log at the FOB itself. Just turn to the right of where you call in the vehicles. You'll probably hear this one beeping. It's very easy to spot up next to these sandbags. So from FOB Bravo, now we're going to do our next banished high value target, which, as you can see, pretty far south from us, a little bit west, but basically south. So get down there, take care of Sebarim, and we'll have another high value target off the board.
He killed, but he'll never take another human life again. He got what he deserved. Good work, Chief.
From that high value target, let's just open up our TAC map, and we're going to basically head west here. And this is kind of a little mountain range. It's actually kind of overlooking the excavation site, but go ahead and mark that. It's better to kind of get it from this side. It's easier to get up there. As you can see, it's kind of on this side of the excavation site, but just go ahead and ride up there however you want to get up there, and grab that armor locker. Again, you can press down on the D-pad to scan your surrounding areas if you're having trouble seeing things, but you'll find this one right up next to this tree. From that armor locker, we're going to pull up our TAC map. You're going to see we're going to be going to the east of FOB Bravo to get our first UNSC Distress Call of the northern portion of connections, which is Jester Squad. Again, I'm going to show you all the locations of these and all of the collectibles as we're moving forward so you can get that achievement. But keep in mind, essentially when you go there, just kill all the banished and rescue the Marines. from Jester Squad, we're going to head east. You can see to our next armor locker, which is all the way on the edge of this area of connections. You can kind of see it's on those Forerunner columns all the way at the edge of the map. So go ahead and go over there and you'll find this armor locker right next to a downed Warthog. Alright, so from that armor locker, we're going to go ahead and open up our TAC map, and now we're going to head to the next Banished Outpost, which is the Horn of Abolition. And as I mentioned in the previous videos, you do want to go ahead and finish off these outposts. We do have some collectibles to grab within them, but until you kind of finish the objective of the outpost, some of the doors may be closed. So the first thing that you want to do is go here, go ahead and finish the outpost itself so that you've completed it, get some valor. We've got one more outpost off the board, and now that we've finished it, so kind of here we are at the Horn of Abolition, we've completed it. Now we can get all of the collectibles that are inside and kind of the outside surrounding area. So we've placed a marker kind of south, south by southeast, kind of up this mountain here. So you can see my markers going up the mountain to the south of the base itself. So kind of grapple up there to where I put the marker, get there however you want. But this is going to lead you up to the top of this kind of mountain, not all the way to the top, but kind of the second layer up here. So you can see on the map, I'm not all the way to the top of the mountain. But once you've got up to that area, you will find the next audio log kind of on this sleeping bag here. So you can see I'm looking down at the Horn of Abolition base right there, and all the way up here is our next audio log. From that audio log, we'll just open up our TAC map. Now we're going to head to the kind of northeastern side of the base. So you can see I'm placing my marker kind of right on that road there where it turns around, but right on the northeastern side of the actual outpost itself. You can see right there. So go ahead and make your way down there. And once you get to that, again, on that map, you see this kind of road turn around. On the inner side of that curve is our next audio log on this rock here. From that audio log, now we're going to go into the actual base, the outpost itself, and from this we'll just kind of look to the left and we'll just kind of shoot ourselves over this wall here that takes us right into the, again, technically the northeast side of the inside of the base. And once you get in here, take your immediate left into this building to find our next Banished audio log propped up against the wall here.
This is how they're rounding us up. They're setting up infrastructure.
Alright, from this Banished audio log, now we're going to exit this building that we're in, and we're going to head to the western side of the base. So again, just kind of leave the building and head west, and then you should see this large building on the western side of the outpost. And again, you had to go in here as you were kind of playing through this outpost anyway. But once you get into this building, immediately turn to your right to find our next Banished audio log propped up against these crates here. From that audio log, we're going to get our next Spartan Core by exiting the building, and we're going to continue heading west into the base. Again, we're going further west, and when you get a little bit further, turn to your left, and you'll see this building that's got a door that's busted. You can actually see the Spartan Core through the cracks of the door, but in order to get in there, you need to grapple to the roof, or get to the roof however you want. And once you're on the roof, then you can fall in to grab the Spartan Core from down in the building itself. Alright, so let's open up our TAC map. We're going to get our next Propaganda Tower, which is south of the Horn of Abolition. So you can actually see it's south over those Forerunner column-like structures. So we're actually going to go a decent way south, and you can see it's on this mountain that's to the south of those Forerunner columns. So you can mark that. But look, there's the Horn of Abolition down there. So we've kind of gone south and climbed all the way up this cliff here. And as we're going up this mountain, you'll find this Propaganda Tower ready to be destroyed. Alright, so once we've blown that up, we're going to fast travel back to FOB Bravo, okay, which was northwest of the Horn of Abolition. And north of FOB Bravo is going to be a Spartan Core. And if you mark it, it looks like it's on top of those rocks there, but you see this road that I'm kind of like just south of it. So if you mark it, it's going to look like it's up on there. But actually, you need to follow that road around, okay? And if you follow that road that's like in the valley below it all the way to kind of the eastern edge of this area, it'll actually find this door that leads into a structure that you can go inside. And if you go in there, there's going to be a lot of enemies. We're just going to run past them. But all the way in the back of this building on the left-hand side is our next Spartan Core. All right, so we're going to exit that building as a bunch of enemies were swarming us, and now we're going to go west to this large mountain that's kind of west over the roadway. So that's all the way up there. So this is where the Spartan Core was on that building. So make your way all the way over there. So I'm going to shoot, down where that Spartan Core was, and now we've crossed the road and gone all the way up to the top of this mountain. And at the top of this mountain is going to be our next audio log. From that audio log, we're going to kind of stay up on this ridgeway here. So we're going to kind of continue west, but again, we're going to stay on top of this large mountain structure. So you can see in placing that kind of custom waypoint, it's still pretty high up in the air. So just make your way over there in that direction. Again, we're at the top of this ridge, and eventually you'll come across this armor locker ready to collect another multiplayer cosmetic. Continuing along the ridge, now we're going to go a little bit northwest of where we are, but again, we're going to be staying kind of on this ridge here. So just progress that direction, and eventually you're going to come across another propaganda tower that we can blow up.
I'll just admit it. I'm really curious about what's in.
From that propaganda tower, now we're going to go north. We're going to go down off the mountain now. We're going to rescue Bengal Squad. So go ahead and go down there, blast away any bandits that are down there, rescue those Marines, and we've got another UNSC Distress Call off the board, a little bit more valor. From that, we're going to go south, mostly east actually, kind of east by southeast to our next propaganda tower. It's not that far from Bengal Squad. It's right out in the open, so you should just be able to mark that, head there, and blow it up. All right, so moving on, let's open our TAC map. Now we're going to head west, kind of west of Bengal Squad to the Armor of Reckoning. So now you see we've gone west from Bengal Squad. You can just kind of follow the road around. But as always, we're going to be doing this Banished Outpost. Go ahead and do all the objectives in it. Finish off everything you need to do so that you've opened up the outpost and we're not dealing with any closed doors. And we've also got another outpost done. But once you finish that outpost, now we've completed it. We're ready to grab the collectibles in there. So you can see we'll open our TAC map. You can see it says completed. It's grayed out. So now we're going to go ahead and get everything. So this is in the outpost itself. This is part of the mission. You probably remember it, but in the main kind of center building in the middle of the outpost was this large armory. It's got a bunch of weapons on the racks here, and it's got a hologram of a shock rifle sitting on the wall there. Right just to the foot of that shock rifle hologram is our next audio log. From that audio log, we're going to just turn to our right. We're going to exit out this building going south, and we're going to head over here to the left, and there's this underground passageway. Again, you'll probably have gone down here. You'll see this while you're playing the Outpost most likely, but anyway, head down this path, and this is next to one of the coils that you have to shoot. But just to the right of that in this corner is our next Spartan Core. From that Spartan Core, now we're going to go and head out just the way we came. So we just turn around and we'll exit this underground area of the outpost. And as soon as you come back out to the outdoors, immediately turn around and then grapple above us to the the level that's just above us. And when you get here, turn to your right, you're going to see another entrance that leads into the cavern, or the mountain wall, so to speak. And at the back of that room is going to be our next audio log. From that audio log, we're going to head out back outside. We're going to get our next UNSC audio log. As soon as you get outside of that little building, immediately turn right and hug the wall of the mountain, and eventually you'll see this small path that kind of dives into the mountain itself, and inside of that is our next audio log. From that audio log, now we're going to head to the western side, kind of the northwestern side of the outpost. So you can see we're on the northeast now. And if you look to the northwest, you see that little road that's kind of tearing off to the northwest. That's where we're going to go. So we're going to head over there. So that's that one. And we're essentially just going to be going across the base. So we're going to all the way to the western side of the base. So I'm going to speed it up a little bit. But essentially, if you go all the way to the west side of the base, just on the very edge, and you drop down off this building, you're going to find a warthog with our next audio log in the back. Progressing on, we're going to open up our attack map. We're going to head west from the Banished Outpost, and now we're going to get forward operating base Alpha. So as always, go there, kill all the Banished, and now you'll be able to capture that point, and that will be a fast travel point for you, as well as locate some of the collectibles in the surrounding area. And as always, we got our next audio log on the FOB platform itself. From where you call in the vehicles, just look right in front of you. You'll see it to the left, right up next to this container beeping at you. All right, so we'll open up our attack map. From that audio log, you will see this armor locker right to the north of us, just right very close to the actual platform itself. But if you head into the northern direction, you'll see a cave that kind of is lit up by a red light here. So again, it's just north of the FOB platform. So go ahead and make your way over to that cave, and then as you're going through, not too far into it, you'll find your next armor locker right here on the left. All right, so from that armor locker, let's go ahead and open up our attack map. Now we're going to head all the way west, a little bit north, to this Spartan Core. So you can see it's all the way at the top of this mountain, so all the way west from FOB Alpha. So make your way up there. There will be some enemies in this area. I've already kind of cleared them out, but essentially you're going to go all the way up that mountain, all the way to the edge of the map to find our next Spartan Core, all the way up there, and, you know, again with some weapons and things around it.
Squad's calling for help, Chief.
All right, from that, we're going to head northeast. So from that Spartan Core, we're going northeast to Paladin Squad. As always, just go ahead and go there, kill all of the Banished that are in the area, rescue those Marines, and we've got another UNSC Distress Call off the board, and a little bit more valor for our FOB bases. So let's go ahead and open our attack map again. Now we're going to go north from Paladin Squad to this propaganda tower, so not very far from them. You can actually see it from the Paladin Squad location itself. So go ahead and make your way over there and take out that propaganda tower. All right, so from that propaganda tower, we're going to be heading to Barracuda Squad, and Barracuda Squad is by far the best place to get the passing the gas achievement. Okay, so don't actually free the Marines, kill the kind of first wave of Banished, and essentially when the backup arrives, kind of run away. So you can see we've got the reinforcements that are arriving up there. I'm just kind of leaving. I haven't rescued the Marines because you don't want them to shoot them as they're dropping in, but it always drops grunts and brutes, and almost always if you're kind of far enough away, they're always going to throw them. And again, to get that achievement, you just need to shoot a grunt that has been thrown by a brute. So that is by far the best way to get that. If, for instance, you missed it, just load your checkpoint until you get it there. That's obviously the best place to do that. And then, of course, once we're done, rescue Barracuda Squad, and we got another UNSC Distress Call done. From Barracuda Squad, we're heading east into this valley. So it's kind of this valley leading towards Outpost Tremonius. So you can see that when you get to that valley itself, you're going to see a large wrecked UNSC ship. Just go inside the wreckage itself, and on the northern kind of portion of that wrecked ship, you'll find this audio log tucked inside the wreckage.
Shoot, hero! Hero die!
From that audio log, now we're going to get our next skull, which is the Fog Skull. So you really, ideally would like to have a flying vehicle for this. So we're going to be coming from FOB Alpha. I've spawned in a Wasp, but you can do it with a Banshee. You could technically grapple to it if you want to, but what it looks like it's kind of on land there, but it's actually not. You're going to have to fly around the back side of this connections area. So we're heading all the way west here. So you can see I'm in a, Wasp about this level from the actual FOB itself. If I'm just kind of circling around the back side of these Forerunner structures, eventually you're going to see a small hole in the back, and if you just fly into there with your weapon, with your Wasp, or you can fly in there with a Banshee, or you could grapple around the edge to get to this location. But once you're in there, you will find your next skull. All right, so once you've collected that skull, go ahead and fast travel back to FOB Alpha, or go over here however you want to. We're going to get our next propaganda tower, which is just southeast of FOB Alpha. So you can fly over there, you can fast travel, whatever you want to do. But just southeast of FOB Alpha, up on the cliff edge here, is our next propaganda tower. Let's open up our attack map again, and from that propaganda tower, we're going to get our next Spartan Core, which is just south of us. So just south of that propaganda tower, you're going to just look down the hill, you'll see it. It's actually going to mark this building here, but you can't actually get into that building. All of the doors are shut, so you're going to actually have to go inside the building that's beside it, a little bit lower on the platform. And there's going to be a bunch of enemies here. I'm just going to run past them. But essentially, if you go into the building on the right-hand side, in the back will be a hole that will lead you underground, and then you can take this underground underground path all the way around. You're going to come in here, make sure you take a right here, follow the red lights, but as long as you're following this path, eventually you're going to lead yourself to a grav lift that will shoot you up into the building that actually houses the Spartan Core itself. Now there are some enemies up here. I'm just going to kind of run in here and grab it, but you can fight them and kill them, do whatever you need to do, but essentially in the back of the room is our Spartan Core. From that Spartan Core, we're going to get our next propaganda tower, which is again further southeast from where we are. So right from that Spartan Core, so you can see that's the building we were in. We're just going to head southeast. This is pretty easy to spot. It's right out in the open, just southeast of where we were. And go ahead and blow that up for another propaganda tower off the board. Alright, from that propaganda tower, we're going to get our next Spartan audio log. So if you kind of go northeast on the way to our next high value target, kind of just mark that field before we get there. And as you're heading there, again, just from that propaganda tower we're going northeast, you're going to come to this large kind of burned out battlefield, like napalm went off here. But essentially what you're looking for in this burned battlefield is at the juncture of all of the three roads, you're going to see a crashed kind of flatbed truck. And I was having trouble finding it, but again, use down on the D-pad to scan, but just to the left of the flatbed truck is our next audio log. From that audio log, we're going to continue northeast to the actual high value target himself, Bip Bap. So go up there and click on him and get done with that. And we've got another high value target that we're finished with. We're progressing on with the high value targets. Not too many of those left. There's not too many in the last section. But anyway, now we're going to head all the way north. So open up that tac map. We're going all the way north now to this kind of northern little section that's kind of off by itself, north of Outpost Tremonius. And all the way on the north side right here is going to be our skull. And actually in this area is some hunters that you're going to have to deal with, or you could fly down there, grab the skull and not deal with them, whatever. But right in this tree here is going to be our next skull. On that same northern portion of connections, on the eastern side of that is our next high value target. So go ahead and fly over there, take care of that high value target and all of the banished that are with him. And once you've killed all them, that'll be another high value target off the board. All right, so let's open up our tac map. We've kind of finished that northern area, so now we're heading back south from there. So you can see we're kind of done up there. There's only those two things. So head back south and kind of coming off of Outpost Tremonius to the east of Outpost Tremonius, you see this road that comes out and then splits to the left and the right. Put your marker right on the inner side of that split. That's actually where we're going to be going to. And if you go to that location, you're going to find a downed lifeboat, downed UNSC lifeboat. Inside of that is going to be our next audio log. From that audio log, now we're going to progress over east side of this kind of area here to our next propaganda tower. So right there is the lifeboat, and I'm just going basically a little bit east, not too far, almost on the other side of those kind of spire-like structures to my right. But that's going to be our next propaganda tower, so go ahead and blow that up. And if you look at your tac map, the next Spartan Core is actually kind of right in this same area. It's right beside you, but it's not actually on the surface, so we're going to have to land. So from that propaganda tower, if you look towards the Forerunner, spire-like structure right there, you should see a cavern that's lit up with a green light. Okay, so again, from the propaganda tower, look to the right towards that spire, head in there, and as you head into this cave, you're going to find our next room and our next Spartan Core in the back here. Alright, so from that Spartan Core, let's open up our tac map. We're going to get our final UNSC Distress Call of the connections area. It's been a long road in this area, but head up here to Cobra Squad, clean out all the banished, save those Marines, and we've got all of the squads saved in this area. Now, south from that core that we were just at, okay, there was the cave that we were out that core. Head towards the lake area of the northern portion of connections, and these are really hard to miss, but as you approach that lake, you should see these large circular structures. Again, those are our Forerunner Artifacts. Just land here, scan the Forerunner Artifact, and that will be our last Forerunner Artifact of this area. If you open up your tac map, you will see there's an armor locker very close by, just kind of south of the artifact itself. You don't really need to mark it, but again, here from the artifact, if you just look south, you'll see this little patch of land that's in the middle of the lake. So go ahead and open up that armor locker for our next multiplayer cosmetic. Looking cool. All right, so from that armor locker, we're going to get our next propaganda tower. So from the artifact and from the armor locker, we're going northwest. You can see where there's the lake that we were at. We're just going northwest. Up on the road here, right off the road, is our next propaganda tower. From that propaganda tower, again, we'll open up our tac map one last time for the last collectible in the connections area of Halo Infinite, and we're going to be going southeast. So we're going southeast of that artifact now, so just turn around. So again, we're just going to fly over the lake here, and this propaganda tower is just out in the middle of the open. So go ahead and blow that up as we do always, and that's going to be all of the collectibles for the connections area. We've done the excavation site and the conservatory missions, so I hope you guys are finding this helpful. I hope you're enjoying it. So go ahead and do the spire. We're going to get in the graveyards next. Be sure you start the video before you play the graveyards mission, Pelican Down. There is a missable achievement, so we want to be sure we get that, but that has certainly finished off the connections area. We're heading here next, so hopefully I'll see you in the next video.